I feel like I have so many products to update you on, so let's jump immediately into the speed reviews. You know me and you know these are gonna be in different categories, and we're gonna start off with base. These are mostly from my Sephora haul, plus some other products I've been testing recently thrown in. The biggest shocker here has been the Glossier Stretch Concealer, because holy cow, I get the hype on this, and I didn't think that I did at first when you saw me testing it out in the Sephora try-on haul, because it is definitely a low pigment, low coverage product. So I think paired with a more glam makeup look, like the look I have on today, this concealer, I would not pair with it. But for day to day, when I'm wearing no other products really, and I just want to touch up my under eyes, this is the answer. And I feel like that's kind of been a dilemma for me. I have never loved the look of like no base, no makeup, just concealer. And I know a lot of people swear by like just putting on concealer to kind of cancel out some darkness on the under eyes. But I have always felt like without the other products paired there, it is just far too much. Like there's a lot of contrast there from the high coverage to the no coverage throughout the rest of the face. Until this, I have yet to find a concealer that sits well on its own without the need for other products. But like this is the answer. I feel like for the right person, I could see this being a holy grail. But as I said earlier, I don't think it's gonna be for everyone because it's not a high coverage product. But what I've been doing is pairing it with the Sigma Soft Angled Concealer. This is the brand new F72. I am gonna talk about this set later on in the video. I dip it in. It is like the perfect size to go tap, tap, tap. Practically blends itself. If I didn't have long nails, I would just use my finger, but it's kind of hard for me to get in there. But for day to day, for the minimal makeup wearer, this is like a must have. Probably one of my tip top recommendations out of this entire video is this concealer. It's great. And it's so funny because at first I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. But that's why it's so important for me to always come back following up my first impressions, because this product also, I thought I really liked in the video, but the more I've tested out, I don't know that this is my friend, at least not as much as I wanted it to be. This is the Yummy Skin Serum Tint from Danessa Myricks. I have the shade 3, and I think that's probably the first issue that I have with this. I likely should have picked up 2. 3 is just, I can make it work, but it's slightly too yellow for me, so I might even try mixing it in with a blue color corrector now that I'm thinking of it. But for the most part, I like this if I mix it in with like a white foundation mixer pigment because it's slightly too dark for me. But the first time I applied this, I thought it looked really beautiful and radiant on the skin, and I think sometimes it does, but I have realized that this is incredibly finicky, and on my dry skin that sometimes can get a little patchy. Well, like I can get dry patches on my skin. This does not sit as well. Like the areas around my nose, I've had a lot of dryness around my nose recently from like blowing my nose. It is spring. And also I get a lot of dryness on my chin. It's so weird. It's like for being a liquidy product, I find that it sets down relatively fast, which I wouldn't expect for this consistency. And then once it's set, it's not going to blend anymore. So what I have found I like doing the most with this is applying it with my finger and trying to just like blend it out with my finger, and then taking a tool, whether that's a sponge or a brush, and going in with that to kind of get the finish that I want. I have found that I actually don't like the way this sits on my skin on its own. Some days, depending on where my skin is at and the prep I do before, it lays nicely, but more often than not, I find that it is just sitting a little bit patchy on some of the drier areas of my skin. But I'm loving mixing this. Like I think this mixes really well with other formulas because it is so serum-like and liquidy. So I'm kind of bummed about this. I wanted to like it more than I do. I actually wish I would have picked up the Balm instead. I'm almost wondering if that would be a better match for me, but I did not end up enjoying this as much as I thought I was going to based on that first impression. But what has remained consistent is my love of this one. This is a mini of the Hourglass Vanish Concealer. This is definitely not a new product, but it's kind of gotten popular again recently because of a makeup routine from a TikTok creator named Amaya Cologne. And this is the concealer she swears by for her no foundation routine. So I wanted to pick it up to be able to like follow the routine to a T because I've been having fun like playing around with that and like different techniques in general. This is such a great concealer. It's high pigment without being thick, but I also don't find that it's like too thin. Some concealers are very runny and liquidy and like they do leave a nice glowy finish, but I don't find that they tend to sit as well on the skin. But this still has a desirable texture about it that allows it to just sit super smooth on the under eyes. I would compare it somewhat, I don't think it's identical to, but it reminds me of my Holy Grail from Natasha Denona, the High Glam Concealer. It's similar to that, where it's very smoothing, very high pigment, but it's also not thick. I really, really enjoy this one. Another concealer is the new one from Saie. This is their Slip Tint Concealer. I hated the Hydra Beam concealer that came out a few years back, but this is their newest one, and they actually sent this one to me, and the shades that they sent me are far too dark for my skin tone. So I've been using shade 6, and ideally I'd probably be more like 4, probably 4. So keep that in mind with this review. I've had to kind of adjust my thoughts on it, knowing that the shade that I have doesn't really match me. I do like this. It's very liquidy. Like, you know what I was just saying about the Hourglass one? This is one of those that's like super, super, almost runny. So it has that radiant, glowy finish on the skin, but not too much. It's lower coverage than the Hourglass, but I also wouldn't describe it as light coverage. I would say it's like medium, somewhat buildable. I enjoy this. It's not my favorite concealer at Sephora, but I don't think it's bad. Okay, the new brush set from Sigma. These are the new soft coverage brushes. There are 5 brushes in the set, or you can purchase them individually. As a set, it is $121, though at the time I'm filming this, it is on sale for $97. Or they're $25 a piece, except the concealer brush is $21 a piece. I'm loving these brushes, but let me talk value for a minute here. First of all, I am a Sigma affiliate, so if you ever want to get a discount on Sigma products, my code is Kelly G. The discount that you can get kind of tends to vary depending on the sales, but you can always use that. That is always available. But talking value, if you are purchasing this entire set for that full price of $121, there's really not a savings there, okay? So if there were only a few of these that you were interested in, I would say choose the individual brush as opposed to purchasing the bundle, unless you're getting it at the time that it's on sale and discounted. Honestly though, I do really like all 5 of these, and I really don't think you'll be disappointed. So first of all, you have the F08, which reminds me a lot, pretty much identical to like a BK109, which is my favorite brush. F48 is a bit more like your traditional foundation brush, but something about this domed shape to it I find buffs it out better than most foundation brushes. I don't normally like a foundation brush like this, but this one I do. F43 is the one I've been using for cream contour. I don't know if I would like this as much for a powder because it's not as fluffy as I want. It's pretty dense, but great for cream bronzer, cream blush. F11, also love this more like paddle shape for tapping powder blush on. But my favorite by far is the soft angled concealer. It just feels like it's narrow enough to get in here, but also it almost reminds me of a finger. That's a weird thing to say, but it's like you'll be blending it out with your finger. Like it's the same size and shape. These are probably my favorite brushes Sigma has launched in a very long time. Like I've been using these every single day when doing my makeup. I know it's a bit of a splurge, but if you were debating on these, I definitely think they're worth it. Okay, moving into cheek products. The Cloud Paint Bronzer from Glossier, I really, really enjoy. This is the shade Sail. It's the lightest shade. And I'm not wearing this today, though I am wearing as much as I could. You know, some of these categories I had like more than one product in. This is a great shade for fair skin if you find that bronzers not only are too dark, but too warm. Like this has a really beautiful undertone to it. I feel like this is really perfect for someone who likes an effortless look. You know, it's not high pigment. It shears out quite a bit to the point where I could see some people not enjoying the formula, but I kind of like it for like an everyday natural look. I find that it works best if I take it on my finger and just like put it where I want it and then take my sponge and tap that into place. It looks flawless every single time. You're never gonna have like rough edges because it is a liquid and it's this really blendable gel texture. So tapping it like once or twice has it blended out. Like it is so effortless to use. Very, very simple product. I also like that you can take this and mix it in with other things. Like that's the joy of a liquid product. So right now when I'm into more like a nude toned blush, which I'm not wearing today. Today's makeup look, I was having a little fun. I was doing something a little bit different, but I've really been loving any blush that's kind of nude toned. So you can take this, mix it with any blush that you have, and it's gonna kind of tone down the brightness from the blush and give it that nude look. I feel like it's super versatile. $22 I do think is a good price for like a high-end brand. So I've been liking this. Okay, next up, the ever talked about Rare Beauty blushes. These are the new powder blush formula. I have mine in the shade Cheer. I have a little bit of this on the tops of my cheeks. I've been using this as kind of like the pop of my blush lately. I don't love this on its own as the only blush. I would actually realistically describe this as a highlighter that is a blushy tone. It is very glowy, but not glowy in like a dewy, balmy way. Like it gets the glow from those like shimmery pigments. So like it translates like a highlighter on the skin. So what I like to do, the brush I've been using the most is actually the highlighter brush from Fenty. It doesn't have to be this exact brush, but something that is a little bit more targeted like this. I've been enjoying to pick up just a tiny little amount, tap it off, and then just like touch the top of the blush just to get a little bit of a glow. Like I'm using this more as a blush topper. I could see this not being for everyone though, to be honest. I think that it's so glowy to the point that it's gonna emphasize texture on the skin more so than other glowy baked blushes. Like this has a considerable amount more glow than something like the Hourglass blushes or the baked blushes from Milani or Essence. So it's gonna depend on the person, but if you like that hyper highlighted glowy look, I do think you'll enjoy this, but I could see some people not preferring this formula because it's just a lot of glow. I have been very late to the party on the Patrick Ta blushes. I feel like the internet is obsessed with these, and they sent me a few shades recently, well, these two specifically, and I have not stopped wearing these since then. Like I mentioned in another video, I completely get the hype. So today I'm actually wearing one of the newest shades, which is called Just Enough. This is like the bright pink on my cheek. Like I said, I do have a little bit of cheer over top, so I'm kind of working with all of them. But they also sent me She's Blushing. This is like a beautiful, almost nude sunburnt type of shade. This formula looks so radiant on the cheeks, but in a way that doesn't look artificial. Like it just glows, like it's lit from within. It sits so smooth on the skin, even though it has that glow to it. And the Patrick Ta method suggests that you should do the powder first and the cream on top, which feels so wrong, and yet it always works. Like it never disrupts the powder. You could do it either way. You could use just the cream, just the powder, layer them, don't layer them. Like it's a pretty versatile product. Truly the only downside for me about these blushes is the price. They are $38, which is so steep for just one product. Yes, you're getting two formulas inside. It's a split pan. You're getting a cream and you're getting a powder, but it's still like the upfront cost of $38 just to do your blush is pretty steep, especially considering that these shades are intended to be layered. They're not necessarily something you're wearing separately. I mean, you could, but they're the same shade. They look different in the pan, but the way they translate on the skin is pretty much the same. You're not gonna get an incredibly different look if you're using one or the other in terms of the tone that's gonna be shown on the skin. So I do think that's the downside. There's really no versatility here, even though it is the two shades and the two formulas, like they're intended to be used together. So with that in mind, the price point is very steep, but if you don't mind the splurge, I don't think you'll be disappointed by the formula. I've been enjoying the bronzer as well, but I would say if you want to choose just one, I say the blush all day over the bronzer. The blush is really a standout for me in my collection. I can't say the same about the bronzer, though I do think it's an average, nice, not even average, like it's a good formula. Also for size comparison, the bronzer is quite a bit larger. Not only is it bigger, but there is more product in both pans. And you have the little flap to hopefully protect the bronzer, though I have heard people run into this going bad pretty quickly, so I will update you if that ends up happening to me with this product. But performance-wise, it's very easy to use. I love the way it sits on the skin. Like, I just think his products make applying your makeup very, very easy. Okay, speaking of cheek products, these are not new, but they're new to me. So I wanted to share my thoughts because I recently tried out Salt New York and I have been so impressed. So Salt New York was started by Kiki G. She was with us in New Orleans and she gifted us some products in the goodie bag in New Orleans. And these, I really, if I'm being honest, I did not think that I was going to like these because it is very different than what I would typically think is my preference, and yet it all works so well for me. So the products are all these cream pans, like that's what they sell, cream pans. So we've got highlights, blushes, and bronzers. And the interesting thing about this formula is that it is so low pigment that it will never look bad. Truly, like I think a baby could use these products and it would blend out because there's not much there, but I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in just an effortless, straightforward to use type of way. Like you could be a complete beginner, brand new to makeup, do not know how to blend. They will blend themselves. There's something about this like balmy texture, and it's not sheer in a way where nothing nothing is going to show up on your skin. It's sheer in a way that you're not going to make any mistakes. Like, they're quite literally error proof. And normally, I think if I were to hear that description, like balmy and sheer, I would be kind of turned off from it. But I have been obsessing over the way that this looks on my skin. Like, this bronzer right here, actually, I have been using as a brown blush lately. Like, I've been taking this bronzer throughout the perimeters of my face and then this on my cheeks and pairing that like simple no makeup look with the Glossier concealer. So like this, in my head, this is like the perfect marriage for like, if you like this type of makeup, you will like this type of makeup. But alternatively, if you're used to very high pigment products, you like having a lot of immediate payoff, I don't think this formula will be for you. So I think it kind of depends on your preference. They did give me a discount code. It is Kelly G if you want 10% off on the website. But I've been using these like every day, especially the highlighter, and I don't like highlighters. I tried this when we got back from New Orleans just to try it out. I'm like, let me see how the formula is. My expectations were so low, and like, that is no shade to Kiki or to Salt. That is just me knowing my own preference and knowing that like rarely do I like highlighter, let alone a cream highlighter. But I was like, let me try it. Just took a little on my finger, tapped it over my cheeks. I was shocked. The way it just looks like nothing but everything at the same time. Like, my cheek was glowing, it was radiant. It just looks like you have a perfect skincare routine and there's no product on your face. Like, you just naturally look blessed like that. Like, that's what I'm getting from these products. Okay, moving into eyes, I also picked up this eyeshadow stick from Rare Beauty in the sale, and I really don't like this. Okay, let's start there. This is the All of the Above Weightless Eyeshadow Stick. So I have it on today, and you'll kind of see my journey of getting my eye to look like this. If you watched my video when I did the Sephora try-on, you saw that I had some issues with this. I applied it, honestly, kind of haphazardly. I just like smudged it over the eye, thinking that I could easily take my finger and tap it out, because in general, that's how stick eyeshadows work. That is what I like about stick eyeshadow. They are very low effort. You can just smudge it on, and typically you just take your finger and tap it out and it's gonna look perfect. That is not the case with this. You need to be very precise about where you apply it. I don't think it really like blends out and moves across the skin the way most eyeshadow sticks do. It doesn't have as emollient of a texture as I was hoping that it would. I will say though, as its intended purpose of being an eyeshadow stick, I really don't like this product. I don't think it blends out. I think it gets very patchy. But as an eyeliner, I love it. So I'll mention that. I have been wearing this most days as an eyeliner because something about this bronze shade makes the color of my eyes really pop. I'll wear it as an eyeliner on top, maybe do like a little wing. I can pick it up pretty easily on an eyeliner brush and kind of smudge out a nice wing. Or I even like to wear this in my waterline to get that like metallic sparkle that makes your eyes pop. So as an eyeshadow stick, no. As an eyeliner, absolutely. Also in eyes, I have had so many people asking me my thoughts on the collaboration between Rudy Berry and Buble. This is their new chocolate brown tubing mascara. The official name is the Dripped Tubing Mascara. It retails for $25, and with Buble, you can purchase when they do drops. So at the time I'm filming this, there is not like a drop open right now, but to my understanding, they will be restocking at some point. So that is a downside. It can be a little bit tough to get your hands on just based on the way that they do sell their products. But I know for so many people, they were so excited about this shade of brown. And you know, I have been on an never-ending, it seems, journey to find the perfect chocolate brown mascara. And whenever I say that and I was showing different mascaras, people are like, Kelly, that is chocolate brown. And I feel like I need to make the distinction. I mean milk chocolate. I want something that is like a nice mid-tone brown, not a deep brown. I want something that is really vibrant brown on my lashes that like translates as brown. And this definitely does that. I did a video recently for shorts comparing a few different brown mascaras I've tried recently. I've been trying to update you as I try different ones. And you saw the swatch comparison between this and two of the other browns that I've tried recently. And you'll notice this has a very red undertone to it. So if you're after that shade when it comes to your brown mascara where it almost has that like burgundy undertone to it while still having a lot of that brown pigment there, I think you will really like this. It has a ton of warmth to it. I have it on my lashes now. I think it's a more natural mascara look where it looks very lengthened. Not a ton of volume, but I do think it gives you this like wispy length. I do think it holds curl very well as well. This is a natural bristle wand, and it has kind of like a wider end and comes to a taper. My preference tends to be a rubber one, but if you are into a natural bristle one, I think you will really enjoy this mascara if you've been looking for a brown. Definitely one to check out if you're able to get your hands on the next drop. Moving into lips, we have new lip liners from Kosas. So this is a reformulation of their lip liners. This is launching later this month, but I wanted to share my thoughts right away. I have on a few of these at the moment. I have the shade Supreme with a little bit of Mega, and I kind of went for a slightly more like defined lip line. I've been really into this look recently. These are retractable lip liners. So I will say right off the bat, I prefer a lip liner that is a wooden pencil. Like that is the type that I think works best in my opinion. I find that twist up lip liners like this can oftentimes be a little bit too creamy, at least for my preference. And that's what I'm running into with these ones from Kosas. So I don't think it's a bad formula, but I think it's gonna depend on what you look for in a lip liner. So if you are like me and you want some stiffness to the pencil to be able to get the precision on the lips, I don't think that you will like these. That also tends to be a thing about twist up lip liners. They're never that sharp because you're not sharpening them. That being said, you can sharpen this. They do have a sharpener at the bottom, but like this plus this, it does not get as pointy as I want. So just know you're gonna be getting more of that softer lip line. And then I find that the formula of this is also very creamy, almost too creamy, where I just don't think it's giving me precision. So if you look to a lip liner to have that sharp line, I don't think that you're gonna love these. But if you look to a lip liner to be creamy, to be long wearing, to be comfortable, I think you will like these because that creamy texture makes them super comfortable and non-drying at all on the lips. I would even say they almost give like more of a blurred lip look because you don't have the sharp line. So if that is more of your go-to, like that natural blurred effect, I think you will really like these. For me, I don't see them being a staple in my routine. A kind of random lip product that I thought I'd throw in here is this from Farmacy. This is called the Lip Smoothie. So they just launched a new scent in this. They launched a lime scent. So this product actually launched like a year ago, and then they keep adding new scents. So this scent is not the newest, but it was pretty recently new, if that makes sense. And I really like this. First of all, it smells like straight honey. Farmacy has so many honey scented products. Well, they're not honey scented, they have honey in them. They have so many honey products in their line. It like quite literally just smells like a jar of honey. I want to eat this. This I love using at night. I think it's super nourishing to pop on my lips as I'm going to bed. It's thick, but I find that it immediately kind of melts down. So it's not leaving like a waxy film on my lips, which I personally don't like. I like the fact that this kind of almost just melts immediately and has this slippy feel to it on the lips. So I've really been enjoying this to wear before bed, but if you want that like super thick waxy lip balm, I don't think this will be your preference. Okay, the REM Essential Drip Glossy Balms. So they had another lip product that looked very similar to this, but this is actually new. These retail for $19 and I have the shade Hocus Cocoa, which drives me insane to say. I want to say Hocus Pocus, but Hocus Cocoa is the name of this shade. I had this on my lips when I started filming. I think it's kind of gone at this point, but let me just reapply it right here so you can see. The interesting thing about this, I have heard people describe this as a more traditional lip gloss. They're like, if you like a lip oil, you won't like this. I don't really find that to be the case. I wouldn't describe it as a lip oil, but I don't think it's as thick or sticky as most like OG lip glosses. Like I kind of look at this as a hybrid, somewhat of like a lip gloss that I would have envisioned 10 years ago, but somewhat of the qualities of a lip oil. It is very sheer, so there are a lot of shades, but they all look somewhat similar on the lips. Even this, like it looks very brown, but on the lips you see so little of that brown. It's like the slightest little tint. This formula though, it's not my favorite, it's not my least favorite. What I don't like about this is the applicator. It has this hook to it, which in theory, I initially thought that this little pocket was gonna pick up the lip gloss and sit really beautifully in the lip to apply it. But the way the curve happens, it's almost like it rejects the lip gloss and nothing gets in there. there is no product sitting in this curve. So the only place you're applying it from is the tip of it. So for me, I'm like, we could have just skipped the curve. It could have been a regular doe foot. This does not work the way it seems like it's supposed to work. It's not a bad formula, but for $19, I would skip it. I think there are so many drugstore lip glosses that are considerably better than this. Let us know your thoughts down below if you've tried any of these products, but thank you so much for watching, and I will go ahead and see you in my next one. Bye.